How you doing? My name is Dr. Antonio Johnson, returning to you with another episode of Itz Da Family Podcast. What I want to kind of address from our previous podcast, those pillars that we talked about, motivational, inspirational, and conversational. Based on the information and the feedback that we got from our last episode, those are the pillars that we need to stick with. Again, motivational, my OG stories and the guests that I'm going to have on, they're going to actually implement their success stories so that the young generation, whether they're baby boomers, Gen X, entities of that matter, so they could actually refurbish their own background and kind of understand the things that they need to kind of work on themselves. First and foremost, we're going to get into our next guest, Christopher Jackson. He's a man that wears many hats. For example, he grew up in Inglewood, Chicago, Illinois, the neighborhood of Inglewood. We had to kind of claw his way to the top. Based on the circumstances that he came from, I think that he would be a good guest to kind of implement strategies for success. First and foremost, I've known Chris for a while. We go back to when we were young kids, going to the aspects of going to up and down Aston in the Chicagoland area, which is a violent part of Inglewood neighborhood in Chicago, Illinois. So I want him to kind of address some aspects of his background and how did he grow up and what led him to the overall success stories in his life. With that, without further ado, how you doing, Chris?
Pretty good. How about yourself today? And thanks for having me on today.
You're welcome. First, I want to address some aspects of your career background. I know you were a director. I know you were a CEO. I know you were a manager in the healthcare field. I know it didn't start out that way. Could you kind of give us a shout out or an overview of how it start out in your career choice and what led you to where you are right now?
Oh, yes. Yes, I think it started off back in 93 when I was working at a hospital, for example, in the laboratory area. In that area, I was still learning county, which was entering in health insurance information, patient. And we're working there after about 6 to 8 months of doing that. A wonderful job in there. I was promoted on in time to a regular accounting department. And from that department there, I ended up learning how to do all types of accounting, controller things, medical billing and coding. And from that point on, I just was wide open into to those different things. And my career just took off from there. I didn't want to stop learning. I say the biggest thing about my as those physicians was I just kept learning. I had to keep learning in order to keep moving. I say because knowledge is always never anything that you can't learn.
Wow. Could you kind of share some key milestones or some stories that kind of led you to continue that drive in the healthcare field? Some of the stories that you may not can share because of HIPAA, but some of the stories that you can share without mentioning people's name.
Yeah, like for example, I got into accounting department. I was working in accounting. I normally was working on like self-pay patients, bills, following up with them, and if they have insurance, I'll get the insurance information and take that information. If it's Blue Cross Blue Shield, I'll take it to the person that actually doing Cross Blue Shield, have them put that information in and bill for it. So after about a month of doing that, I just started asking them like, what do you do with this information I give you? So they showed me how to do it. Then I went to the next person, like the Medicare, for example, Medicaid, the third-party insurance, learned everything that they was doing. So after about a month or two, I knew everybody's jobs. They only knew their jobs. And from that point on, I just was excited at learning that, and I just couldn't stop learning from that point on. And after that, I left, become a supervisor at a vascular surgery center, and just more knowledge. And from there, just kept learning, till kept moving on till director of medical billing, and eventually doing director of medical billing, and also teaching medical billing and coding for over I think 10 to 12 years. So I really enjoy that, doing it 4 days a week at nighttime. So for 10 years, working with the kids and showing them different little things, got to get their career going like that.
Okay. Man, that's near and dear to my heart, the healthcare industry, and understanding and learning from just your personal experiences, how you've been able to create a career path and that drive. But enough of that. Individuals listening to this podcast want to know, how was it growing up in Inglewood, Chicago? People want to know, how did you escape? How did you get out where so many other people have failed?
Well, growing up there, it wasn't as rough as it is now. I say, it was still fun. We kind of made it fun by doing different things. I said, biggest thing by us, we kept busy and doing sports. It was just hanging out on the street, things like that. We either do sports at the Ogden Park, playing baseball, or with the local church around the corner playing basketball, volleyball. So all year round, our time was busy and taken up. I said, then once this came to town and graduated out of high school, we decided, in order for us to succeed, we need to leave and get out of here. And that's when we decided to go to Louisiana for school. I said, I think that's kind of really helped. You got away from all your friends, all the peer pressure, and it gave you opportunity to go somewhere to learn.
Well, kind of think about it. Most people feel like, I grew up in Chicago, you grew up in Chicago, and a couple of most violent neighborhoods in the city. Most people listening to this podcast or watching this podcast would actually think that we were given silver spoons, but that's not necessarily the case. Think about it. I've been knowing you pretty much all my life. Talk about an episode or a particular entity. Remember, we had to get up and go to the food bank at 5:30 in the morning, you and I. Everybody else was asleep. We got there maybe about 5:30 in the morning. I think it didn't open up till about maybe 7, 8. Could kind of talk about that and how you and I, we made our trip up there and we really didn't want to, but we knew that we had to get there in order to get that government cheese. Because that government cheese was a monster on that cheese sandwich. Oh, and that peanut butter. What about that powdered milk? Come on now.
Oh, yes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, our parents definitely was on us on that. Made us get up and go there, stand up in line, get that. And it was summertime when you didn't want to go. And then we wanted to come back, but we did. They sent us right back. We've been right back in that line again, waiting. So we just did what we had to do. I said, that's just one of the examples. Even when we got into college, we didn't have no silver spoon. We did plasma to make money. Did things, just took that money, got groceries for the room.
Right.
I said, so it was always a struggle, but we overcame them.
So speaking of giving plasma, we'll circle back to that. Growing up in Chicago, I remember we was at school and I was like, man, bro, I'm broke. I don't have any money. I don't have any money to wash my clothes. I don't have any money to literally eat on the weekend. You were just like, hey, why don't you, give plasma? I was like, okay, plasma, but I'm going to miss my Friday class. You were just like, hey, you can make it up. The funny thing about it, when I went to give plasma, I'm 19, 18 years old. I'm there with people in their 60s and 70s. One aspect I can actually remember of, it was a lady sitting next to me. Before she gave plasma, she had false inserts. She took those false inserts out. She was saying that it actually made her whistle, and she would lose a lot of, I guess she was saying it would take a lot of energy out. I don't know how that worked, but she actually took her teeth out every time she gave plasma. Had a story that kind of reflects back on me, like sitting next to her every other week. She's like, I give this plasma every other week or every time that I can. And I come in, the first thing I do, I take out my inserts, which are more so, I don't even think they were dentures. They were false teeth. So we're sitting there. She's literally talking to me, mispronouncing words. For example, she was just like, instead of saying eyes, she said yais, like my auntie, or my knees hurt instead of, she said my knees hurt. And a lot of lisp and a lot of things that came out of her mouth, it was actually funny. And think about going back further, how we grew up, even going back to school, when we washed our clothes, we never really had the money to wash our clothes. We went so far, we literally would wash our clothes in the shower with us. with that cheap detergent. I won't mention any names of any detergent, but it was cheap detergent. So circling back to growing up in other entities, other episodes in the Chicago area, think about, we could say this now, think about when we were hungry, and we weren't getting literally like sandwiches and things of that nature. And what do? We had to kind of go in and pool our money together. A young generation don't know about this, collecting bottles. And we would get like 10 cents a bottle. And once we saved up, we would go down through the alleys of every block in the Inglewood area, and we would get a bottle, and that would be 10 cents. We would get like about 30 bottles. We had $3. You and I would split that, get us something to drink. And I kind of go back to the days of when we would actually go to Harold's Chicken, which is a staple in the Chicagoland area, and we couldn't afford the chicken. We would literally just buy some fries, and we would share the fries. We literally arguing about what we want to put on it: salt, pepper, mild sauce, hot sauce, ketchup. And think about those days and all the things that we went through just growing up in the Chicagoland area. I want you to share a story with the audience of how we applied for our first job and how we almost didn't get it in conjunction with getting our behind or our ASS or what.
Oh, yes. Yeah, because but during that time, it was like the summer programs with the city. You had to go down there to one of the Inglewood section buildings and go there, stand in the long line, fill out the paperwork, apply for these summer jobs. And sometimes you're there for 8 hours, 9 hours. And, then you get frustrated and want to leave. So then there's always only one of the days that's have to make it so hot. I think we actually left. We left and came, on the way home. Our parents said, we'll get our butt back down there and get back in that line and fill out the apps jobs. And we went back down, got back in the line again, waited another 5 or 6 hours, all over again. I said, and got the job. And those jobs like more like outdoor manual hands-on jobs, like working in it, digging up grass, digging up this, doing different things like that. So it kind of taught me going forward, like, this is not what I want to do, so I know what I need to do to succeed.
So I remember that a little bit different than you do. I remember us getting there. We waited. I remember you cursing me out every day, every minute. I don't want to stand in this line. This is crazy. This and this. This is and that. So I remember leaving with you because you was just like, man, I'm tired of standing in this line. I'm going home. Literally like, I'm taking my ball and going home. We get there. Your mom meets us at the door. Say, hey, did you guys get the job? You being bold was like, man, we ain't feel like standing in that line. And your mom was literally like, if y'all don't get y'all touch back down there, I'm going to beat both of y'all behind. And matter of fact, I'm going to call your mother, Tony, and my mother's in the background like, yeah, both of y'all about to get it. So we go back up there and you cursing at me that we have to go back up there.
Right.
And I'm like, man, why you cursing at me? You was like, hey, you the only one I got to curse at. So we waited again. All while we was waiting in line, you was cursing each and every moment about what we had to do. But we got the job, and I think that allowed us to create discipline in our life that if you stand for something, you'll be able to see the job through or see the journey through. We was talking off camera and we were talking about Star Trek. And I know you're a Trekkie. I'm not really a Trekkie. Man, explain to me what is the Vulcan hand gesture and why Captain Kirk always got the girl, even though she looked like an alien.
Oh, man, you don't know that one? Is it, for example, if you're a captain of a starship in space on the different worlds, who else gonna have the women? He got to have the women because, he's leading this ship to all these other new countries, these little worlds that people don't know about, and making first contact.
What about the first mate? The first mate need love.
They get there second. That's but you got to get the captain first. He always come first.
So Dr. Spock, you trying to say he didn't have any feelings, so therefore he didn't need none?
No, he didn't need none. Because, his feelings was all suppressed.
Oh, so you trying to say basically that that Captain Kirk, he needed it, everything. So now he wasn't sharing it with his people. I'm surprised they was actually able to beam him up. He used to always say, beam me up, Scotty. I never knew what it stood for, but
that's the only way. Because if he only want to talk to the women, other ones that are doing their job.
So he was literally taking one for the team?
Yes.
I know I was watching an episode with you where one of the ladies was like a mummy or a monster. And he did his thing. He served her.
Dude, it'll be in about 5-6 years we get back to Earth.
Welcome to Itz Da Family Podcast, where we're going to be talking about a myriad of subjects. We're going to address education first and foremost, because education is a privilege, not a right. Think about my grandfather. He was not able to read and write. So we're going to tackle some issues in regards to that, how important my father or our parents implemented education to us. We want people to know their culture. We want people to know their history. We want people to know why we're here talking about these subjects. We're going to talk about future subjects, past subjects, subjects that are actually addressing our economy today. Because again, we're going to teach you how to get good credit scores. We're going to teach you how to save money. We're going to teach you how to make money. These are some of the subjects that we're going to address in our podcast. This is not the typical podcast. We're going to just talk negative. We're going to bash people. No, we're going to try to uplift you where you can actually feel like I want to tune in. This is part of my life. They make me feel special. And that's what we're going to do. We're here to make you feel special. We're here because it's the Family Podcast and we are family. So your professional, personal life, how do you maintain balance? So, with kids, significant, how do you maintain balance?
Well, I never take work home with me. So, I leave work and I go home. So, for example, if you didn't know me or I don't have no job, because I don't bring it home. I don't talk about it when I get home. I get home, it's all just about home or whatever activities with the kids or things like that. And work is not on my mind again next business day.
Okay, so you have any humorous stories like separating work from home? For example, not being able to showing up at an event at the wrong time, or understanding that you had something to do that actually conflicted with work and personal. Some anecdote, some personal story would allow you to kind of continue on that grind and be the person that you are right now. I know you told me a lot of humorous stories of just work, of things that you had to do, of certain entities that happened at work as well as at home. Like being able to, say for example, being at work and the air and water show where most people were actually paying to go see it, and you were at a job and you literally was sitting up there, with popcorn and drinks, and you was telling me how fun that was. I was like, hey, you're not supposed to pay for that? You was like, hey, I'm at work. I'm here work, so why should I have to pay for it? Something, an anecdote, a story.
Well, exactly like you say with that, as I can go up to our building was located downtown, a block away from that order show. So just go out there, sit out there on the 52nd floor, watch the show, sit there, order me food from our dining room from downstairs, have them bring it up to me, and just enjoy the show. Watching the show at the same time and also working at the same time. But I think one of the funniest ones I have to say about work, it would be, I guess it was like starting off because, I guess I overslept at work. I forgot the time went forward.
Right.
So, so I'm thinking it's 6 o'clock. I mean, at 7 o'clock, I come out, it's 8 o'clock. So, I seen all these new people. So I had to think of where you been for an hour? I forgot to set my clock forward.
Wow.
So that was one of the funniest things. So I just walking around talking to people like, oh yeah, I was busy talking to so and so on upper floor, just talking like I've been here all morning, just talking, shooting the breeze.
I think what I wanted to ask you, Chris, so is healthcare the same now as it was 20 years ago?
Well, not really, because 20 years ago, for example, if you expect a mom to come in there, come in, get it delivered, normally they keep their mom there for like a week or two. Now moms come and deliver 2 or 3 days. You do then discharge.
Okay.
Because based on the new rules now, for example, after 3 days, you invest the maximum amount of money, so the hospital don't get paid no more day 4 or 5, unless complications go.
And like I said, well, we're giving stories, giving anecdotes, giving personal experiences that existed in our time that really don't exist now. Like you said, in the healthcare, you worked in the billing department. So how has billing changed from 20 years ago as opposed to now? I know you said that sometimes in healthcare, they would get individuals stabilized and find an alternative route for those individuals to continue their patient care. And you were saying the same thing just about giving birth. People used to keep individuals for 2 or 3 days. Now they deliver the baby and they're actually released the next day. Something that how has billing in relation to healthcare changed in the last 20 years?
Back then, they was billing. They would actually pay for. You went to the doctor's office and he saw you for an hour and did different things in the office. They paid the doctors for an hour. Now, based on the new rule, max so you can do is 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15. So anything over there, you'll get that same amount. You stay an hour is the same amount you did 30 minutes. I said, so now you get the insurance, you get less money. And then if you do a procedure, the insurance consider that's oversee the office visit. So either get one or the other. Back then, you used to get both. So that's the way the insurance save more money, and they can become more profitable.
Okay. So if you had to go back 20 or 30 years ago, would you try to go down that same path in regards to a healthcare career? Or do you feel like if you had to do it over again, you would make some changes in your career path? Just kind of based on what you know now as opposed to 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, I still would have went on the same path, but I think I'd have did the little things a little quicker, kind of stay a step ahead of the changes. Like, for example, a new change coming next couple of years. I'd have been trying to prepare for that now. I'd wait for those 2 years to come, start going, get certified for that, or tested for those, learning that different knowledge. I was trying to learn it in advance before, so I can start my staff.
Okay. So is there we talk about the whole aspect of healthcare and being able to provide the patient care for the individuals. So overall, you think that healthcare is moving in a positive direction? And if so, based on what personal experiences, what work experiences, what research that you've done in your vast over 30 years in healthcare?
Yeah, I think it's going forward, because back in 30 years, a doctor can know everything, and that patient haven't been in the office. They have no proof about it. Now they're more strict on there. That's why they send letters out to the patient verifying, like, hey, did you have this service? Or just send them a summary out of they call it explanation of benefits. So I say, and they do audits, random audits, and use just to ensure that that payment you get was a payment you should be getting.
Okay. So off topic, something I want to address, by the holiday time, right? So organizations would have these big Christmas parties, and people used to get liquored up, act a fool. Now, based on talking to you and other individuals in the healthcare, you guys are not having those big Christmas parties no more, not having that big celebration with each other. And what's going on with that?
Oh, yeah. Well, back then, like you say, the reimbursement was much better. That all this payments, and a lot of the payments, for example, whatever you bill for, you got paid for it.
Okay.
Now you have to bill for whatever you bill for now. They verify, make sure it's the correct amount. Then you got these new contracts, so it doesn't matter what you bill for. You bill for $1,000, the contract's $100 and $100. So now it's less money coming in, and so it's less profit that is making. So they don't want to share the profit on a Christmas party. They rather put it into the executive pockets.
I had to disagree with a story that you told me that your staff was, you came to another job in a administrative role, and your staff was cooking breakfast like every month, and they were taking, like, was it $200 or $300 out the kitty?
Oh yeah, about 300.
Right. You was like, what the, some other words you said, and you found out that it actually benefited you. You was like, hey, as long as I'm here, we're going to keep taking this $300 out every month in regards to the celebratory breakfast. And we ate, and you guys ate every week.
Right. But that one I had to, because, benefit me if the more expenses I save. And then at the same time, I could use some of that money to hire another person, things like that. And I can use it for upgrades. Staff, if I wanted to get uniforms, we had the surplus right there. Instead of putting it on $300 worth of food, I can eat $300 in one day.
So I'm seeing this a different way. I'm seeing you saving money on breakfast for the next week. So
next month.
Yeah. So that's what I'm looking at it in regards to. So when we're looking at the benefit, not only for your employees, but it's what they call a morale booster. You're actually able to boost morale. Hey, you guys did a good job. And that's why we're continuing with this tradition of the breakfast. Was it like once a month or twice a month? Was it?
Actually, I think it was twice a month.
Okay.
So something like that, and we can still keep it going, but you could order food have to be brought in for things like that. So the employee have to leave to go to the store. That could have been time that they could.
So if you left that organization, would you implement at every organization subsequently that you would go to?
Yeah, I definitely would do something like that. Even if it's just once a month, like a breakfast or we buy the main items and the staff bring in those sides and participate into it like once a month.
So, kind of going into some aspects of just kind of summing the things of the way that we grew up and the constant drive, the constant dedication, and how we've applied ourselves in a number of different entities. So I applaud not only you, myself, and other individuals that have actually made it out of Chicago, and to kind of see the struggles that we've had and the struggles that we went through. It actually makes it more pleasing, more acceptable of how the journey that we took. I know that we grew up in a drug-infested era. We were around individuals that literally got shot in front of us, literally sell drugs in front of us, but we stayed the course in order to do the things that we need to do. Kind of circling back, we were talking about the summer job. It was an individual that got named James. He had the job just like we did, and that night after he got the job, was it the next day? I don't know. He'll probably expound on that. He literally was shot, was it 4 times? Not really sure. And he worked 1 or 2 days and he got shot. Just literally not doing anything bad, but just hanging in the neighborhood.
Right.
So
yeah, that's what I say. I was talking about earlier. Sometimes just hanging, instead of just hanging. So try to instead of just hanging on the block, alley, things like that. We try to keep ourselves busy if we want to work in who's doing the sports. And little league, baseball, softball, or some type of football, or we'll just play. We call it strikeout. Right. I'll just get together and play strikeout, or just softball.
Mm-hmm.
Have a softball team playing. Just choose things like that. But we kept ourselves busy,
right?
Instead of just hanging out on the streets, to be a target, things like that. So I say that's the difference. No matter where you was raised at, is things you can do. Keep yourself busy. Like I say, doing some sports activity. Or if you don't want to do any sports, you're a book person. Get the library all the time.
Okay.
Be at home studying on the computer, things like that. But instead of hanging out in the street alleys and in the morning.
Well, so I like what you said and how you said it. You've evolved over time of how I've known you. You have informative information. You're quick to the point with the discussion of how individuals can make themselves better. And I'm really appreciating, I'm really loving that because you were able to apply the same thing, with your kids. They're very successful in their own right. And I've seen your journey. And that's one of the reasons, if not the best reason, that I wanted you to participate on this podcast. Because, again, I'm learning from you.
Right.
I'm learning the things that you actually implemented, not only in your daily, not only in your professional and your personal. I'm loving it. And literally, based on your blueprint, based on the things that you're doing, so I'm excited about what you're doing and where you're going. So kind of close this out and wrap this puppy up in a nutshell. So you see healthcare going first and foremost, and how do you see that or feel your role fits in healthcare, not only in your professional, and how does that correlate to you being a success or an individual with vision and dedication in your own life?
Well, like I say, I think healthcare is one of the professions that's never going anywhere. I say it's going to be a little more, easier. For example, they call it coordinating the care. That's probably going to be the next big thing that's going to come out. So it doesn't matter what doctor, this doctor. Doesn't matter. Oh, you go to the doctor in the next state. So your information will pop up right up on his computer automatically. So it's no I got to request medical records. Everything will be already on hand. That would be the next biggest thing. Just like, for example, the U.S. was behind on the healthcare. They just rolled out a new billing thing, which Europe has been 7 years. Rolled out last year. Have been postponed for the last 5 to 6 or so. There's more diagnosis, what's going on wrong, because most of our diagnosis, for example, it might say left back pain. Okay. You don't go. That's not a diagnosis. What's wrong with your back? So it has to have a name to go with that. So a new one, actually, you have to find exactly what's wrong. So it can be unspecified.
Okay.
So they got rid of all the unspecified things you got for. So now it's more detail. You might come in and say I had to get a broken arm, a broken hand. Now I say your diagnosis now say left broken hand, the first 3 fingers. So it goes that deep now into detail. So you don't want to just say he has a broken hand.
Okay.
That's it. Now it goes if the insurance get it, because it takes what it does is takes so how you say like a report, like a 10-page report. Put that 10-page report into 3 5-digit numbers, and that comes out with that report. I can look at those 3 5-digit numbers and say, oh, I see Mr. Johnson had a right femur broken. Also third index finger. That's what those numbers. Yeah, and then they can tell me if it's a newly broken, or this is the third time or second time it has been broken.
Okay.
Oh yes. So instead of me sending over 20 pages, I just send over those 5-digit codes.
Okay.
That's it. No more sending requesting medical records. Okay. All I needed those numbers.
Okay. So what you're saying, healthcare overall is improving.
Yes.
And so it's improving at a rapid, or you think it's kind of positioned itself within a stable rise in treatment?
Yeah, I think it positioned itself in a stable rise, but you still have a lot of people just kind of beat the system, things like that. Fighters over.
Let me interrupt. You say beat the system. Explain that.
Well, actually, beat the system is overbilling. Like if you come in,
okay,
put down that he treated you for 4 things and you only treated you for 1.
Okay,
things like that, and he sent it into the insurance. He get paid for all 4. So instead of getting paid $100, he got paid $500.
Mm-hmm.
They say on every patient you do that, by the end of the year, I'd made me an extra $1 million to $2 million free.
Okay.
That's
So with this, as we close, you're in a hospital. I know you work at mostly hospitals or medical facilities. You give me an aspirin and you charge $20. What's up with that? So
that's the future. So aspirin, a cotton ball costs $5 now.
But how does that? If I can go into a store and get markup the other charge, or that's the cost of doing business in healthcare?
That's cost of everywhere. For example, go into a store. 2-liter pop is 99 cents. A 16 ounces $2.50. It's the convenient. So you walk around with a 2-liter in your hand, drinking it. You do walk around with a 16 ounce in the hand and drink. So they said it costs more to be convenient. So that you get the aspirin now or you want it later.
Okay. I guess I can understand that. So you're trying to say I'm paying for convenience.
Yes.